Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 341 of the Saturn Studs Podcast. I'm Kurt, joined once again this week by my frozen co-hosts, Peter and Jake.
Yeah, it certainly is cold up here, Kurt. And that's why this edition of the cast is the pink text on green background edition of the cast. Nothing will get you more heated than looking at such a travesty of graphic design. Just picture it.
I can.
Any text.
I see it.
Hot pink on a green background.
I see it in my head, and the thing about it is that I think I've seen it on a commercial product.
Probably. Something from the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah. I like it, though. Kind of gives a little bit of pop. Kind of gives it that, like, old school 2008. I just did my project last night, and I had to throw together a quick PowerPoint.
Y'all remember that first PowerPoint where you were so drunk on the power
Yeah.
of PowerPoint, and every slide was a new transition and a new background
and like sound effects as the bullets came in. Yeah, you could mess around with PowerPoint, and then you get to like a grown-up class, and you learn that you should never put any of that stuff in your presentation. You should just be pretty much always white background, black text. The most boring shit ever.
But now that I'm in the industry, I always look for that, like the people who like take the effort, and I'm like, you spent program money to make sure there were transitions and like bouncing text into your presentation, didn't you?
Did
you feel good?
I had a high school teacher. It was a college class. It was computer integrated manufacturing. But I took it in high school, and Mr. Mars was the teacher, and he called it rainbow word art and hated it with a passion.
Was this Mars like the bars, or this was the Mars is in the bill?
Did he have any bars with him? Like, did he drop some bars and he'd be like, "Damn, Mars,
No, but he had
got some bars."
He had this weird fucking paper airplane design. It was like a ring. He called it the Mars a ring. I was like, that Mars doesn't have rings.
That we know of.
No, I'm pretty sure we've seen Mars from most of the angles that you can see it from.
There was another planet that
you've
like
never seen Mars. You don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, have you been there?
Personally, no, but the rover has.
Another planet that has rings. There was another planet that I think has rings. In our solar
Neptune
system.
has rings.
Oh, is Neptune the one that has?
Jupiter has rings, I think.
They have they're very quiet. They're visually quiet, otherwise known as not very visible.
Whoa, this picture of Earth makes me think that it has rings. Are we sure that the Earth doesn't have rings?
I mean, it's got one ring.
Why does Earth have
to rule them all?
To rule them all, yeah. Which planet have rings? Nope, just Saturn.
Only no one else in the universe. Doesn't happen.
Damn it, I'm trying to find it. Anyways, we're coming at you live from Arendelle. Yep, we're Frozen. We watched Frozen 2 this week. And we're coming at you with a chilly burr episode because ice. The theme is ice, and the magic word is freeze. And if you hear us say freeze at any point during this the podcast, you just got to get up out of your chair and go, ah!
That's
a
very
time.
Good challenge. Yep. We're obviously doing Frozen this week because of the sad news of Idina Menzel's passing. Rest in peace.
I'm happy that the cat did not show up. There's a cat in my house now.
You got a cat now?
Yeah.
He's got a cat and a woman.
And
so he needs a bat
fucking
and a man.
Shit everywhere. Yeah.
Nice.
So sad news last week. Kevin Conroy voice of Batman and pretty much every animated DC work that's any good. Passed away. Really awesome dude. We'll talk more about his career in general in our feature. Because we watched Batman, Mr. Freeze, Subzero, which is a interesting movie.
Yep,
Batman's not in it a whole lot, but
no, and it's not the most acclaimed of
it's not
the animated Batman works, but we've covered a lot of everything else.
Yeah.
So we're kind of closing the loop on
It's
this.
actually reviewed, like the critic score is pretty high on it. The audience score is a bit meh, but I think that's largely to do with the relative lack of Batman.
Yeah. Yeah,
when Batman's not in the room, everyone should be saying, "Where's Batman?"
I wonder what he's doing right now. I bet he's skulking somewhere.
I want to see Batman.
I showed up to a Batman movie and I got Robin and Babs for 30 minutes.
I mean, it's a pretty good movie.
I'm not saying that I didn't like it. I did enjoy it.
I would agree with anyone who said that, Mask of the Phantasm is better. And had we not already reviewed that, we would have considered that, as we would have also considered Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, had we not already reviewed that.
Yeah.
You might be noticing a trend.
Yeah. So I guess this is the shout out. Go watch our other reviews of other Batman movies. They're out there.
Yes.
They're waiting for you to just get in there with your eyeballs and your earballs.
Your earballs mostly. We didn't have the video format at that time.
Yeah. This it was a good plot, fantastical, but at the same time, I will go into this probably a little more when we get to the review. Something that I feel could happen in the era of our Lord 2022. The scenario is strangely plausible.
Yeah, I have some things. I have some complimentary things to say of this movie, in comparison to other Batman movies that have released in recent years. But we will get into all that at the appropriate time. First, we must watch some trailers on Trae Watch, our weekly trailer review and roundup segment. There were a lot of them this week, but we culled it down to the very best.
I'm sorry that we won't be getting to something from Tiffany's. The Tiffany's commercial where they buy the jewelry from Tiffany.
It's either, the pessimistic, in the worst case scenario, it's a Tiffany's advertisement. In a similarly bad scenario, it is some sort of spiritual successor to Breakfast at Tiffany's.
It could be both. And we won't ever know, because we're getting nothing from Tiffany's.
No.
We're going to go have one last dance with Magic Mike.
All right, not exactly where I thought we were going with that, but yeah. Channing Tatum is involved with a woman 14 years his senior.
Looking sexy, sexy, sexy in the rain. Boy, oh boy, their water budget must have been wild.
Yep. In this thrilling conclusion to the epic saga, Magic Mike must finally find the last Deathly Hollow and face his worst enemy.
So I've never seen
Voldemort,
one of the Magic Mike movies, but I have heard that they are actually like pretty decently constructed movies, beneath the veneer of
the conceit,
male exotic dancing. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I know I've seen Magic Mike 1. I think it was something along the lines of like, it was about like them running the business, him down on his luck and like trying it out, and then they had all these dance numbers, and it was more like a choreographed dance than anything. And then there was some dramatic parts of like running the business and him balancing his work life and
I don't know.
personal life.
You're saying that was the original Magic Mike?
That was the first one, yeah.
Okay.
I think it has since then jumped the shark with XXL and now his Last Dance, which now it's like a full stage performance.
It's a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. The OG Magic Mike, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for the theater workers that are going to come in and have to mop the floors and replace the seat cushions.
I mean, it's nothing that fucking Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark hasn't had to deal with.
Yeah.
Bring me the shoes.
Lots of web shooting there, and there's going to be a lot of web shooting here, I'm sure.
Yeah. If you liked the first two, I would assume that you'll probably find something enjoyable in this one.
Like, is it me, or is this? I'm gonna make a reach. Now, I'm not known for reaching,
Never.
but I'm gonna make an exception here. That this movie is more like the Muppets movie than you might think at first glance.
The original Muppet movie?
No, the reboot.
All right, I'll take the bait.
Okay.
Huh?
They've got one
see
last
it.
chance, and they have to make the big performance. And the whole movie is about preparing the performance, getting ready. At the end of the movie, you get to see the thing in full. It's a classic structure. Channing Tatum, he really looked at the classics for this one.
Now I want to watch
homework.
Muppets Take Manhattan. I want to watch Muppets Take Manhattan now.
Hey, when did that come out?
87, I think.
Shit.
Maybe it snuck in on 1990 here. Let me look it up. Muppets.
This is. I'll do this here instead of at the end. We are in a couple weeks coming up on 90s winter. We will prepare our picks soon and have them for you.
1984.
Damn, that's dystopian.
Muppets from Space, however, 1999. Hulk Hogan's in that one.
Ooh, Gonzo. His Magic Mike. Is Channing Tatum a Muppet? I don't
You know what? I think he would be actually a pretty good actor for a Muppets movie.
As like one of the human co-hosts. I'm gonna look up Channing Tatum as a Muppet.
I could have seen him, on the Muppets series that they canceled back in 2015. I could have seen him being a guest on the talk show and being pretty good in that role.
Yeah. That's not Channing Tatum as a Muppet. Don't even lie to me like that.
I can't wait to pick out
it turns out such an outlandish idea. Might not have gotten any traction.
Well, go to the
on the internet.
Go to the fucking AI generated image.
Yeah. AI generated.
Well, we talk about Elemental, baby.
Oh yeah. Let's Pixar serve us up a hot
Disney
doozy of animation.
100. I don't know. This I feel like Pixar is kind of out of truly fresh ideas and is just like taking elements from their past movies and putting them together. Because this feels a little like Soul, feels a little like Inside Out.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely taking a lot of inspiration from the past works. I think the thing that maybe they're gonna try to like push is like their, hey, look at this, look how good it is more just the quality of animation with all the moving effects and like not have like you see the Fire Girl be like constantly moving as she's just standing there. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And the guy's like undulating because he's a water form. Now, these are not like the elementals that you're going to find on your Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah,
kids.
when does Omnath
No.
show up in this movie?
Yeah. Maybe at the end of the movie, they'll have to calm Omnath back into his slumber.
His mono green Omnath.
And then you find out this elemental city's actually on the plane of Zendikar, and we're just terraforming this fucking world from the elves. That'd be a twist I'd like.
Remember when OG Zendikar had racist elves?
Oh, that was best. Man.
Remember when writers
when Magic had plot
were allowed to make characters with
watch
unsavourably characteristics.
Yeah. Well, I will say again, go read the Brothers War story. It's not bad. I will say about this movie, like Strange World isn't even out yet, and they're already fucking shooting trailers out.
So they
this.
kind of do. I know they alternate. Like some of them are released under the Disney banner, some of them are released under the Pixar. I mean, Pixar, I'm sure, is a big enough studio at this point that they have teams working on movies in parallel.
Didn't you know Strange World is canceled? Come on.
Unlaunched, like the 4080, 10 gig or whatever, 12 gig.
Strange World got into some hot water for having its first openly queer main character. I guess that little black kid wasn't gay or something.
The fucking chick in Lightyear gay.
That wasn't enough. That was too subtle. That was too subtle. They had to really nail it home. That was too background of a character.
They had to take the passive progressive.
Wasn't
down
the fucking guy from Jungle Cruise gay?
No, still too subtle. You didn't see penetration.
I mean, yeah, that one was subtle enough that they could edit it out to release in China.
Yeah. This is like the main character is like maybe openly queer. I don't really know how he is because we haven't seen anything from the fucking trailers. So like, is he really? And I'm just expecting some bullshit like
he's gonna see
the old.
Now, if they are really bold, he's gonna see like some weird fucking alien goop monster and be like,
"Yo, hey yo, looking kind of fucking thick over there, Goopy. Hey, want to slide over here to my, genitalia? What kind of parts you working with over there, Goop?"
I'm sure this will be in this family-friendly Disney movie.
That's gonna be like the fucking scene from Monsters vs. Aliens, where Seth Rogen is the Blob. He walks by with like his Jello girlfriend, and he's like shaking it in whoever else's face. Let me see if I can't find that.
I just don't know where they got it from though. So it just seems like it's like a behind the scenes, like someone just was like, yeah, I mean, he doesn't really do anything gay, but I guess he's a gay.
Well, it was like fucking in the 2017 Power Rangers movie. The Yellow Ranger was gay, and the only like line of dialogue to support that was one line around the campfire that didn't even say that she had.
Look, and I'm not gonna lie, like it's kind of silly that we're just now getting upset over this. That some people are just getting upset.
We should have been upset long ago.
No, because this shit's been around forever. There's been like queer-coded characters in Disney movies. You had Ursula, which was like based off of a drag queen. You had queer-coded bitches and queens and kings all over the place.
No, Jake.
You're telling me
there's never been anything progressive before the Zoomers came along.
You're telling me Scar couldn't hold his own on RuPaul's Drag Race? He would be a judge.
Well, yeah, Scar was very
effeminate.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say effeminate,
bitchy.
but
like the bitchy gay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Is Jeremy Irons gay?
I don't think so. It should be mentioned that like this was a big sticking point for a lot of people that like all those things we just mentioned, those were also all villains. And and the gay villain thing is a trope that goes back to like the 40s.
Well, sometimes they kind of be feeling
But
like
they're
villains.
also like, I would argue, more beloved characters than even
Yeah.
the heroes
Well,
they were
as
opposite.
they've become adopted as a symbol of counterculture, uh, for that kind of reason that they haven't that queer and gay characters haven't been placed as like
Yeah.
explicit good guys
No,
for a
Jeremy
long time.
Irons is happily married with several children.
Yeah. Maybe he's probably still closeted though.
I mean,
right?
Elton John did marry and have a child as well, so it happens.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, while we're on the subject, you want to you want to
Subject
know
of gays or
good
subject of Elton John?
subject
Yeah.
of the gays, because we should mention this does tie this. I am tying this back into the feature. Kevin Conroy was gay, and he was a big champion for LGBT rights.
Oh, was he really?
I did
Is
not
that,
know that
Yeah.
about him.
is that why
I'm
Kevin?
sure he
when
kept it very low key, but I learned that when I was looking to him. He's actually survived by his husband. I don't know his name right now.
I thought it was just one of those like dumb like rumors, like people questioning or whatever.
Vaughn
Because as soon as I typed
C.
in Kevin
Williams.
Conroy on Twitter, like the auto complete was Kevin
Yep.
Conroy gay.
It
And I was like,
yeah, it checks out. Yeah, that's. I know that he did a lot of work for post 9/11 relief. He did a lot of volunteer work in soup kitchens, feeding first responders and people who were displaced by the attacks.
I really hope that Kevin Conroy served Steve Buscemi soup in one of those kitchens.
I think it'd be worth maybe looking into, as much as I think we all despise CW. They did actually cast him as Bruce Wayne. So the first live action role that Kevin Conroy got as Bruce Wayne
As Bruce
was in the
Wayne.
CW. Now I'm just kind of like a little timid
Was
about
for
it.
Batwoman?
God, I hope
no,
not.
no, I think it was fuck, what was he in? I don't think he was in Arrow or anything. Could have been Flash.
I'm looking at the filmography.
Yeah, I was gonna look that up.
Television.
Oh yeah, I guess he was a Batwoman. Yeah, one episode.
Oh, he was in Crisis on
Crisis
Infinite.
on Infinite Earths Part 2. Oh, where they crossed over all the CW shows. Oh, Jesus. Oh my god, that must have been very cringe.
Your crossover is very cringe.
Yeah, interesting. I guess I'll talk about it now since we're talking a little bit about his outside career. There was a television show called Wings, and Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly, who was the voice of Superman in Superman the Animated Series, were both on that show.
Oh, Conroy Wings. It's a sitcom.
Yeah.
Huh.
I want to hear Kevin Conroy, Kevin Comedy Roy.
It's not a bad show. It's a sitcom of its era, for sure. But it ran for 10 seasons. People liked it.
I do see that there is a movie, I guess TV movie in post production, Relatively Super, that is going to have him and Mark Hamill and a bunch of other people.
Yeah, I did check out Mark Hamill's
Play some
Twitter
roles.
after I heard the news, and he posted a couple very moving tributes. But anyway, we have other things we have to talk about, unfortunately.
Enough of the
that
gays.
was Magic Mike's Last Dance.
Is that what we were
Gays, eat your heart out.
Okay.
Yes, in fact. Yeah, Kurt, what are we doing next?
I don't know.
Free reign.
Fucking.
Maybe we're talking about Elemental. That's probably
Yeah.
what it was.
Elemental.
We're like tying them together, like elements that they can't touch. They're putting them inside the same room like Willem Dafoe on the inside.
I'm glad someone saw the scenes in No Way Home with Willem Dafoe arguing with the Green Goblin and said, "Let's make a whole movie like that."
I appreciate that they took, that Focus Features and whoever directed this. Yeah, Vasilis Katsupis. Katsupis. He was watching Red Letter Media one day and he heard them pitching their made up horror movie and they called it Inside. He's like, "Oh, I found it. That's the name for the movie." Yeah, this is gonna be, for a bottle movie, I feel like this is gonna be more expensive than you'd think, and so like in terms of pure financials, I hope it does well. But I'm just, I don't know.
Willem Dafoe's at this point in his career where if there's a project that he likes, he might just like work for the standard rate. I know Tom Hanks has done that on a number of his last movies. Like Greyhound, he made the same money as his co-stars pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, this seems like something he chose this role because he liked it.
I mean, it's very much in the vein of his more modern output. You just look at him in fucking The Northman and The Lighthouse.
Yeah. The fucking yeah, there it is. The fucking, they're quoting it in the comments. How long have we been in this room? 5 weeks? 2 days? Where are we?
You're fond of me lobster, aren't you?
Help me to recollect.
I'd like to find the IMDb page about this, but I can't seem to find it.
It's bad luck to kill a seabird.
Bad luck to kill seabird.
I'll look up Willem Dafoe. Yeah, this looks like a neat project.
So
it's a cool concept too.
So I think what is he?
He's an art thief, robber? And he gets stuck in this penthouse after his heist goes awry, and he loses his shit.
Yep, and the fucking twist that they called in the comments, and I'm 100% in on, is that he is the art. This is a big performance art installation where they trapped him in there, and his ironic punishment is he gets to become art.
That'd be fucking wild, and it probably is the answer.
But Kurt, you said he's stuck, and I just immediately leapt to the Auntie Donna skit. Oh, I'm stuck. I'm stuck here. Let me get a rope. Get
you out of there.
We get a lot of great scenes of him drawing, talking to a pigeon, eating a fish.
He goes full Defoe here.
Oh, yeah. Every kind of Defoe moment you've ever wanted, he pulls out of his bag of tricks. He pulls out Lighthouse Defoe. He pulls out Goblin Defoe.
Like, it's going to be good when you see the man just, like, full-on licking a fridge. Just slurping all over that ice box.
Yeah, it should be an interesting movie. I don't know that I'm going to go out and see it in theaters unless I hear good things.
Mm-hmm.
This seems more like a movie you watch at home kind of deal.
Yeah. Yep. But it's going to be definitely a good one for him as he continues to age gracefully.
Yeah, he just keeps getting better, keeps working. He's a true thespian.
Yes, yeah.
Speaking of, too?
Huh?
He's gay too? Shit, okay. All right.
Willem Dafoe has transcended the need for sexual relations.
He gets off on himself.
He's transcended.
I think he's asexual. I think he just gets off with himself. He's like, yes, a film. Give me this good. I don't need sex. No, honey, I don't need sex. I need a good film to do.
If that's the case, that's a waste of a dong. It's a waste of of the confusingly large dong of Willem
Hey,
Dafoe.
you guys want to hear something insane? Willem Dafoe's
do.
only 67 years old.
Only, come on,
Dude, he's so
he looks great
he looked yeah. Have y'all seen him with the drip, right? Y'all saw that video?
Yes.
It's so good. You've seen that one, right, Jake?
with the drip.
Yeah, look up Willem Dafoe drip.
I'm too busy looking up his penis.
No.
I would have thought Willem Dafoe was quite a bit older than that. I thought he was a age contemporary with like Christopher Walken.
Oh yeah, oh that's right. Yeah, I remember they had to like shrink his pee because it was showing too much
Distractingly large.
dong. I think it's just maybe old and everything's loose. He's got those tighty whities that make everything. It just shows it all. There's no support. Oh, here's a link that says Willem Dafoe's massive cock. Should I click on it?
Yes. Go click on Willem Dafoe's massive cock.
He
I'm
married a
scared.
woman much younger than him. 20 years younger.
Half your length plus 20. That's what they say, right?
Here's a story from Sam Raimi. While shooting the first Spider-Man movie, the plan was to have Willem in a spandex Green Goblin costume. The resultant protuberance when in costume was going to be a real distraction. It would send more than your spidey sense a tingling. Believe me. Back then, the CGI wasn't good enough to just paint the thing green and fix it in post-production.
This sounds very legit.
So we went with the exoskeleton costume you see in the movie, just so he could hide his massive cock. For the sequel, we nearly went with Revenge of the Green Goblin with the tagline, "If you try Goblin this, it'll also turn green." But marketing shut that one down pretty quick. Those people have no sense of humor. If you try Goblin this, you'll also turn green.
Yeah, I seem to recall a different story on the director's commentary of the first Spider-Man movie.
That said Sam Raimi above it. I don't know.
Yes, because Sam Raimi's never made a joke before.
The internet's also never lied to me, so
It's true. You know what? But the internet can disappoint me.
yeah.
It can disappoint me. Well, maybe it's not the internet. Maybe it's just movies. Pats could also disappoint me. In 80, for Brady, what is this movie? Someone tell me.
Well, it is a waste of some very talented women in the twilight of their careers.
It's where all the FTX marketing money went to. It's where all the FTX money is held up in.
Yeah, Tom Brady's listed as a producer on this movie, so
yeah,
he definitely embezzled some of that FTX money.
Oh fuck yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And this was probably when he was still married to that woman. Which I don't fucking remember her
That
name.
lady.
What's her name?
Giselle.
I wanted to call her Ghislaine, but I know that was not right. Giselle, Brady and Tom Brady got some hot water over this FTX controversy, as they are very high up on that pyramid.
Yeah, they're not the only athletes to be
scheme.
sued. David Ortiz and Shohei Ohtani are also named in the suit.
The owner of FTX, I think, is hoping this is going to come out with about a $8 billion cash payout, which I think is reasonable, to try to recoup a lot of that money that they burned.
That's only a little bit bigger than the market cap of some of the most profitable businesses in the world.
I think there was an interview with him recently that said he needed to make $8 billion in a few weeks. And okay.
I hear crypto's good for that. It's
Yeah.
never been more stable.
Never been. Buy Bitcoin. It's low right now. It's taking the dip that we all need. It'll shoot right back up.
It's gonna go right back up, guys.
Yeah, don't worry.
It'll
don't
rebound.
Worry. The stock market moves in ups and downs. We're just in a down.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. But actually, this is all about 4 elderly women who really love Tom Brady and the Patriots. One of them really likes Gronk,
Which I feel
and
is,
they all want to go to the Super Bowl.
Dementia is an ugly thing. And I think being a Patriots fan is a very early warning sign of dementia.
There's a lot of elderly people who are like, I moved to the New England area after I made my small fortune in fucking over other people. And now I love the Patriots for whatever reason, because I'm a patriot to America. And all of these are like, for the sake of controversy, I won't specify, but you know who they voted for in 2016 and 2020. With mail-in ballots, might I add.
Gary Johnson?
Yes, because he wears jeans with a button down, and that's very casual look for a man. No need for the suit and tie configuration. Very upset that John Fetterman reverted back to that.
Is that a formal attire for a woman? Is that
No? They just like seeing it. They don't like they.
No,
the
you
suit
specifically
and
said
vest-
that's a casual attire for a man.
That's a casual attire. That's casual.
Yeah,
looking dude.
I feel like that's
casual.
You can stop
That's
with
good.
casual attire. I think anyone who wears that would be considered being casual.
I'm a proponent of just adding for a man to random, otherwise gender non-specific stuff. It's like, it's a good movie to see for a man.
This is going to be a great movie for a man because it is about football and Tom Brady. And love him or hate him,
I
you're
feel
going to
this is
want to
going to
say
be
something
about football to the same extent that Brett Favre appearing in There's Something About Mary made the movie about football.
I'm going to tell my dad, I'm like, you want to go see a football movie, old man? All right, let's go get some.
How many times I got to teach you this lesson, old man?
And then he's going to hurt me after. He's going to be like, fuck that. I hate Tom Brady. And I hate, who's fucking, I forgot their names already. These old bags.
I could see your dad maybe having a slight issue with Jane Fonda.
I hate Lily Tomlin. Never liked the movie she came out in.
I've only met the man once, but I would believe if you told me he had issues with Jane Fonda.
I wish I could tell you met him in rare form, but that was pretty common Luther. That was a common Luther W that
he
you
was
saw.
having a good time, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Give that man a couple drinky poos, and the liquor's a calling.
We're just letting him live his best life. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like there's nothing wrong with the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
And the old
Sometimes
way.
The old way.
So this has many elements that make it a smash success instantly. First off, Saban Films. Second off, Nick Cage. And that's really all I need to say. It's a revenge movie western.
Mm-hmm. Nick
Cage
with
Nick
mustache.
Cage with a mustache, yeah.
With a big fucking fake mustache.
Is this the
it's the dad, it's the dad teaches his daughter life skills, but she gets to shoot people. So that's fun.
Is this the twin movie to True Grit? Even though True
Years
Grit
apart, yeah.
originally came out a long ass time ago, and then the remake came out long
2012.
Yeah.
It's twins like that movie Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is to say, exactly alike in every way.
Yeah.
Him and this little girl are exactly like him in so many ways. He's going to start off the movie by saying, "We're nothing alike. How could you understand where I'm coming from?"
So Nick Cage
And then-
shaves at some point in this movie because there are scenes in the trailer where he has the mustache and scenes where he does not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
probably,
we get that scene.
It's probably to like distinguish between his flashback times and his present times.
Yeah.
Gotta hold on. Yeah, put that on there. All right, now we're ready for the scene.
All I really like, the plot of this movie is not super consequential to me. Like, oh, he's getting revenge in a Western. Wow.
Yeah, it's well
Breaking
worn
new
ground.
ground. But all I want out of this movie is I just want Nick Cage to say like gritty Western lines. And
looking
do
for
like
a
a fucking
truffle
Clint
pig.
Eastwood kind of vibe. That's all I want.
What's... No, it's Mad Dog, right? Mad Dog.
McCree?
Is that the game? What's the game? Is it?
Yeah, Mad Dog McCree.
Yeah. I feel like you played Mad Dog McCree and said, "Put me in that movie."
Oh,
Nick,
you
this
missed.
is a video
Try
game.
another.
Nick, this will never work. All right, make it interactive.
This is a Wendy's, Nick.
If you put, you know what? If Nick Cage really wanted to be bold, like extra bold barbecue sauce.
Are you implying he's not?
Yeah, I'm
is.
not
And
sure
that's why
how
you
I
should
feel
do this.
about you.
He should make his
dissing my
own
man, Nick Cage.
FMV game. Like you should go back, get for the exclusively for the Sega Saturn.
On one condition. He plays every character.
Absolutely, unquestionably.
I mean, I'm
I would
pretty
buy
sure he
this game.
keeps every wardrobe he plays, so I'm sure he.
Well, he
Also-
became debt free last year, so now he's free to spend his money extra wantonly.
Yes. All right. While I'm throwing out wild Nick Cage ideas, or reasonably wild Nick Cage ideas, this one isn't so wild, but I want your input on this. All right. So Nick Cage as the star of like an obscure sports, like a movie about an obscure sport or like a less popular sport. What sport does he play?
High lie.
Cricket.
Good. I like cricket more.
Big in Pakistan. He loves
Cricket's
the culture.
not like cricket's obscure in America only. Cricket is
Exactly.
huge
It's
pretty much
very
everywhere
worldly.
else. As
As Nick Cage would say, it's very worldly. It's an international sport. It's enjoyed
It's
by a lot of people.
It's a game for the intellectuals.
Like, what if you had like the dramatic Nick Cage water polo movie?
That'd be great.
If Nick Cage could
Water
ride a
polo is a good
horse,
one.
I would say like regular polo
Yeah.
or even croquet. The Nick Crow-Cage, if you will. Would you like to play some croquet? Balls.
No, Nick wouldn't do an
That's the
accent.
old way. I mean, we're all stoked.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if however it turns out, it's fine. It's Nick Cage.
If it's a good movie, great. If it's not a great movie, it'll at least be entertaining because it's got Nick Cage. in
It'll
it.
be, and whatever it turns out, it will probably be more entertaining than from the Badlands. What was that movie?
Oh,
Ghostland. Prisoners of the Ghostlands.
Yeah,
Prisoners of the Ghostland. Yeah.
I liked. However, I gotta say, I gotta push back on that a little bit. That had a lot of Nick Cage energy. And
yeah,
this movie
for
doesn't
sure.
look like it has a ton of Nick Cage energy.
Oh, you know what? I shouldn't have said Prisoners of the Ghostland. I should have said fucking Jujitsu.
Oh,
Jiu-Jitsu
yeah.
was.
That's-
I mean, I don't know.
That's in the low tier. Of Nick
Prisoners of the
Cage.
Ghostland, at least for me, also pretty bad.
It's all different facets of the diamond that is Nick Cage.
I've seen
mean-
a lot of Nick Cage movies.
I mean, how do you really judge a Nick Cage movie? It's kind of transcendental.
its
He's
own-
another trans person.
It's its own beast, that's for sure. Just like the follow-up is its own beast on the show, and we're going to be taking a look at that's the screen grab from last week. That's Weird Al and Coolio still
Heck
hanging
yeah.
out. So if I can clear the fucking screen grab thing, escape. Come on, work with me, buddy. Thank you. All right. I can see my screen now. Domestic box office for weekend 45. Ooh, 7 weeks left in this year.
Time flies.
What the fuck happened, man?
I
I used to know you. November 11th through 13th, 2022. In first place, a rather commanding lead, I would say. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which was our originally scheduled feature for this week. We will have the review next week. I really don't want to go out and see this movie, but I will. Peter, in his recap of it, did not exactly sell me on it.
No.
Oh, you went to go see it?
Yeah, I saw it because I wasn't sure if we. This was
Okay.
before we decided on what we were doing this week, and I wasn't sure I was going to be here, so I just watched it just to be sure. And yeah, it's a lot of movie. There's a good movie in there, but there's just a lot of it.
I heard it was kind of basic. Like that was the only. I've been trying to stay away from any sort of spoilers. I heard it was kind of big. I got like one small spoiler. But I heard it was just kind of like uninspired.
Yeah,
Not to
so-
mention there's this big like conspiracy theory that the maybe marketing team, whoever makes like the posters for these movies, have a big like controversy with Ninjago. Lego, yes, Lego Ninjago.
All right.
I'm intrigued.
Okay. So what was it? I think it was around the time that Endgame came out. They released their poster for Endgame. We got the traditional Marvel stack up of heads, and then you got Thanos in the background. Look up the poster for like the Ninjago movie.
Ninjago.
I don't know which one it is.
Jago movie.
There's a few.
There is one that looks very similar to the Endgame
All
movie
right,
poster.
let's take a look here.
It is a recent one. It's around the time that Endgame came out. I'm gonna just type in Endgame. Go right for the
Yeah.
results.
Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame poster.
I know what that poster looks like.
Okay.
I post this in our comments. So it looks very close to the Endgame thing, and people were they laughed quite a bit about it.
All right, let me see if I can pull it up.
Oh, there it is. Yes. Okay.
It's got the purple background. It's got the villain in like the back left, just like the
Here it is.
Like Endgame
I'm sending
poster's
it
got
in the chat.
Ah, yes. There are similarities for sure. I would not necessarily say it's the same.
It's got a lot of similarities.
Well,
the accents, the direction of the way a lot of the characters are posed, the color grade, the fuck. Yeah, there's even fucking not Thanos in the background, looking off to the left.
Yeah. So now look at the Ninjago Seabound poster and compare that shit to the Wakanda Forever.
there's so fewer characters on the Ninjago.
Yeah.
Ninjago, what'd you say? Seabound?
Seabound poster, and then we all know the Wakanda Forever one is like Namor, being the reflection
Here
of
it is.
Black Panther.
Fucking this is perfect. This one right
And
here.
Seabound came out before Wakanda Forever, so they think that they are just stealing poster designs from each other. And this is just a quirky little thing that they're doing.
All right. Well,
each
I
other.
think the answer here is very obvious. They use the same graphic design for everything.
That was a very long explanation to go on about the movie posters and how Ninjago is connected to Marvel movies.
It's all
But,
connected.
I mean,
you see.
the most surprising part about any of this for me, as a millennial, is that Lego Ninjago has had not one but two movies, perhaps even more.
You know, Kristen's niece and my, I guess, niece-in-law, is a big fan of Ninjago, and I'm like, great, you like Legos, but like Ninjago's like her Bionicles and shit, and I'm like, that's cool,
Yeah.
dope.
Everyone needs
So
that shit.
I'm assuming it's got some sort of cultural snag on kids nowadays,
Yeah, it has
enough to where
it's for a while.
I've seen a couple kids dress up at it during Halloween. So,
Well, I mean,
cool.
it's Legos.
I just
which,
imagine them
you
putting
know,
the fucking buckets on their head.
Yeah.
kids love fucking Legos,
They do.
and kids love ninjas. So, I mean, this makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I'll put stock in that any day of the week. Hell yeah.
And in a distant second. Well, first
Yeah.
let's take a look at the total gross so far for Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
$407 million worldwide, 187 overseas, 220 domestic. Black Adam took it on the fucking chin, down 55.9%. In just
Not
its fourth
even-
week.
Black Panther made more money in its first week than Black Adam has in its entire 4-week run so far. They
Domestically,
really
yeah.
just hit the Wakanda button and the fucking box office exploded.
Hey, watch me Wakanda.
What kind of results are these?
Well, now, Peter, you saw the movie. Was there a Kamala Harris part where she said Wakanda forever, or was that a goof? Did I
What?
get goofed
No.
on? No.
No.
Okay, cool.
There's a lot of product placement. So bring a flask and drink every time there's product placement.
Is it a Mercedes or Audi or something like that?
iPhone. It's bad. Always bad.
They're real desperate to sell those 14s. They really
I
saw
swear
that.
to God, there was a certified Mr. Nimbus moment in the movie where they're at a secret hideout, and like I guess Namor did not call the police there, but the police showed up, and the first thing I thought it was he was controlling them. It's like, oh, it's Mr. Nimbus. He controls the police. Yeah. So drink whenever there's a product placement. Drink when you find out why, like the explanation in this movie of Namor's namesake. And drink when you can't see anything that's happening in the frame when it's too dark.
Oh fuck!
It's
I hate when they do that.
it's solo Star Wars level of like dark cinematography. And drink when you figure out what the motivation of the characters are, of the villain is, because it's worse than normal.
Yeah.
Fun.
I'm excited.
Can't wait. Ticket to Paradise is in third, holding over from last week. Lyle Crocodile continues its weird rise up the leaderboard.
Yeah. What the
Finding
fuck?
itself in fourth.
Might not be rising so much as everything is sinking around it.
That's
It's,
true, but it's only
swimming
down
up those
5%. And it was up percentage points last week, despite the fact that theaters are kicking it out at a pretty aggressive clip.
Yeah, this is a bad week for theaters. Like I'm looking at these like they're moving everything out.
I think
Well-
of the 45 weeks we've covered this year, at least 38 of them have been bad weeks for movies.
Well, I think I have an explanation. I think due to the the recent tropical storm and after Hurricane Ian, I think the population of crocodiles have significantly increased in the U.S. and I think they're now allowing them into theaters due to like COVID restrictions lifting. So
They've just taken
Crocodile
over the state.
representation.
Yeah.
yeah, they really targeted that demographic with Lyle Out Crocodile.
Smile falls 41.1% in its 7th week, getting pushed out of theaters here. $2.3 million. Pray for the Devil, down in 6th, $1.9 million, 50% drop from last week. The Banshees of Inisherin, down 19.8%, opening in 65 more theaters. How much money has that made so far? $15 million worldwide.
Also a lesser drop too.
Yeah,
That's been pretty consistent.
it's rolling out.
Who is the director here on that one?
That's not going to be on this page. What am I even looking for? Banshees of Inisherin.
Martin McDonagh. Martin McDonagh, starring Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, and Carrie Condon.
I don't know about his exact career, but I'm sure this will catapult him to the.
He's a
He
director and
wrote
writer.
7 Psychopaths. 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Okay, I know that one.
In Bruges.
In Bruges?
Yes, in Bruges.
In Bruges or whatever.
Also wrote something called The Pillow Man.
That's
all
right, Blumhouse. All right.
He directed those as well.
Yeah. I'm sure he's been the writer-director on like all his films.
Okay. I remember In Bruges getting some. It got some like acclaim.
Well, 3 Billboards won some Oscars, I think. 7 Psychopaths. I've never seen it, but it's a movie people talk about a lot.
Yeah. So, I guess you don't really need to search him out,
And
he's already there.
predictably, here today, gone tomorrow. One Piece film Red, falling from 2nd to 8th, down 84.8%, despite being in most of the same theaters it was in last week.
Yep.
No one wanted to see it again.
They're probably down to one showing. They're like the one dub and the one sub showing.
Well, weebs are just get out there, see it right away. ASAP. We are a one and done kind of crowd.
Well, when you look at when you contrast this to Superhero, like that was on screen 1 at the theater in the like the big mall in our region, like screen 1 IMAX.
Yeah.
One Piece Red had like 2 showings, and none of them were premium formats.
Yeah.
Because Dragon Ball Z is the people's anime.
Yeah, I think Dragon Ball Z is definitely more popular than One Piece around America.
Around these parts.
These parts. We don't need no Monkey D. Luffy going Gear 4.
We got taste.
Don't even know what that means, Jake. All I know is that he's the rubber man.
He took a bite of something called gum fruit.
Yes.
And
yes.
can now
the
stretch.
Devil's fruit. Yes, he stretches.
That was, I will say it was interesting. Like I learned that it gives them superpowers, but then they can't swim. Drawbacks.
And they're pirates. Ah,
the nerfing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different fruits too. I don't know if they kept that gimmick for much of the run or not.
No, I think yeah, the devil fruit is like every like main character like took the devil fruit or something like that, and they have a superpower, but probably also a weakness in that, and they can amplify their powers by going or something tragic happening in their life, which they have to bite their
anime.
hand.
Does their hair also go from jet black to hyper glow yellow?
Maybe.
One of my favorite lines in anime.
This is what you call a Gear 2.
Like Luffy goes Look, Super Saiyan 4,
He turns
kinda.
he gets really like sunburnt, right? That's his,
Yeah.
One of
that's
my
his super form.
favorite lines in any dubbed anime ever is in the Funimation dub of Yu Yu Hakusho in the Dark Tournament arc because they fucking call out that trope. Karasu gets his mask knocked off and his hair goes all yellow, and the commentator's like, "Oh, his hair has gone from jet black to hypergrow yellow, likely indicating a stark increase in power," or something to that effect.
Mhm.
In
Man, that sure was an early 2000s anime, wasn't it?
late '90s, actually.
Huh. Okay, I might have been thinking of the trading card game, which I have like 12 cards of.
It got big here in the early 2000s because the PS2 fighting game was like a 2002 release, and then the Game Boy Advance game.
Yeah. It was
Well, there were
it
two
was
Game
part
Boy
of that
Advance
like
games.
that Yu Yu Hakusho Inuyasha wave, which I'll call the Hakushasa. Wait, yeah, Hakushasa wave.
It was
Um,
the Dragon Ball Z is wrapped up. People are like, huh, maybe I'll like other anime, and some of them did, and some of them didn't. And yeah, that's a brief history of anime in America. And we move now to Tar in number 10, up to 3 spots actually from last week, despite dropping 47% of its gross, being out of 713 theaters. And more importantly than any of that shit, finding itself in our spotlight for this week. So this was a movie that received a lot of praise, as an 8.0 on IMDb, and I'm sure a lot of positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic. However, these reviews come from untrustworthy sources, written by untrustworthy people.
True scoundrels.
The skullduggery is unknown from these people. But sometimes it's better to take the devil you don't know. Or maybe this is the devil you know. I've really lost sight of where I was going with this analogy.
They're the devil fruit that makes you not be able to swim.
Sure.
This is the One Piece.
The One Piece is real.
Can we get much higher
So
than 10 stars?
IMDb user reviews. It's where you go to get the scoop on what's happening with a movie. So we're gonna do that now. Anne Caroline, spelled KARONLINE. Tar, 10 out of 10. Not a movie, a film. The rarity of the encounter with a masterpiece that would define a generation makes a modern cinema goer lower their expectations and prepare for the best half an hour of originality. Oh, and prepare for, at best, a half hour of originality, which is why Tar rushes into the mellowed psyche of today's superhero-obsessed viewer with a demonstrably courageous force. Every scene has meaning. Every detail is in its place. Every bold choice the writer makes hits its target. The cinematographer delights the eye and seamlessly needles all the flashes of excitement together. This work of art proves that the cinema, in its primordial sense, is still possible. Bravo. Bravo.
The guy who was in
2.0.
charge of cinematography's mom did that review. And
well, there's never, according to IMDb users, there's never been a movie with bad cinematography.
True.
It's always great.
It's true.
And this This reviewer says no movie's good. Nothing's. This is terrible.
It's
There
just
was one
terrible.
pun that said dreadfully terrible. I will not be reading that, but I wanted you to know that was a title of
That
a review.
exists. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah. This I like this title better. Barely half a mil first week gross. I don't have a voice for this. I'm not going to do a voice. Barely half a mil first week growth. 17th overall USA terrible film. I'm hooked. 1 out of 10. GP, what do you got to say?
Ooh.
Sorry, but unless you are well educated in classical music, which I am, you will not have a clue of the majority of the dialogue. Many parts, one did not wonder if the protagonist was dreaming, daydreaming, or just weird situations. Like the neighbor made no sense at all. The worst part we see many of her colleagues and quote friends and even her wife sabotage her life, but we never see any concrete evidence to support this disloyalty. Students act like they have all the time in the world to post false, slanderous videos online when in reality, classical students have as little free time as pre lawyers. Kate's conducting moves on the podium are strictly for cinematic effect and even laughable when she's wearing the black top. The only good scene I liked was the podium confrontation, though a bit one sided, I felt was warranted. The only positive reviews I see are Kate Blanchett, whom I've had the displeasure of meeting. Diehard fans ignoring the fact there are hundreds of other films to consider acting awards. Living in a bubble fails to persuade, as evidenced by the dismissal first week U.S. Tar film box office of barely $500,000 and 17th place finish. Nearly all films fall off half of their viewership in the second and further still the following weeks. Hardly Oscar worthy. 35 out of 102 found that helpful.
Well, here we are in week 6, and it's brought in $383,000. So a little off in the prediction there. I just love that this person has like a personal vendetta against Kate Blanchett.
They were fucking mad, dude. They not only are they like this is like their worst nightmare. Like their personal enemy, Kate Blanchett, is like, oh, you like classical music? Oh, great. Okay, I'm gonna go do a movie about that, and it's gonna suck to you. And they're like my only love and my worst nightmare, like doing the things. I'm gonna go pay money to go see this, but I'm gonna hate it. Fucking GP, don't change. Hags, have a great summer.
All right, so I have 2 very pretentious reviews here. Do I go with the longer one or the shorter one?
Well, you're gonna read them both eventually, so I guess.
Well, I've got a third one here.
Oh,
that I'm definitely gonna read.
I
but
guess the shorter.
Okay.
Whichever's more pretentious.
All right, I think I have to do the longer one in that case. I'll make quick work of it. Well, nah, we'll do the short. We'll do the short one.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
From Degree 7. Oh, I gotta do. I'll see if I can't get my most pretentious voice in. 5 out of 10 in the orchestra pit. Todd Fields made one of the best directing debuts ever in 2001 with In the Bedroom. His latest feature doesn't quite live up to those standards, but the stylistic undercurrent is still there. The increasing neurosis and paranoia of the well-to-do protagonist, seeming to be undone by their toxic environment, is a through line to his previous features. Howard Hawks once said that a good movie has 3 great scenes and no bad scenes. Tar has 3 good scenes and the rest are tolerable. The opening is middling, and the editing is choppy and lacks a strong pace. But Kate Blanchett's portrayal is enough to bring about the audience's sympathy of being a scapegoat, while some dramatic tension is revealed in the sequences at Juilliard, the deposition, and an unexpectedly creepy moment when Linda is pursued through a dark, dank basement. Unfortunately, the film never quite comes together to unify into a cohesive whole. That's whole without a W, as in the whole. 15 out of 23.
Wow, that's actually quite a bit of engagement. Well, Brandon Emse has a difference of opinion. 9 out of 10, The Viewer. This film reveals more about the viewer than any of its characters. The filmmakers intentionally, I believe, left gaps in the numerous threads of Ta's life, which subtly leads the audience members to fill them in with their own interpretations, bias, ideology, et al. While the film touches on many themes, it employs this technique in dealing with each one. It isn't until after the viewing that we as audience members are given a chance to reflect on what we put into the story, and we may or may not be happy with our own reflections. This, however, is only one aspect of the genius of this film, the analysis of which I'll leave to other, more capable hands. 11 out of 24 found that helpful.
So I was going to read this one review, but I did see that they said they left after 45 minutes. And then another review, it said, I will never get back 2 hours and 38 minutes. That's more than half the movie, dog, that you walked out of.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with this. This is also very, what did you call it, Peter?
Pretentious?
Pretentious. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There's a lot
That's the
of
word I'm
pretension
looking for.
in these reviews.
Yeah. 1 out of 10 from Orpheus Dude.
Orpheus.
Is this a joke? And that's the title. Or a comment on the state of classical music today and the fact that that's been totally overtaken by marketing. The portions of Mahler 5 or Mahler V that we hear are egregiously awful. I know. I am a member of the International Gustav Mahler Gesellschaft in Vienna for years and have written extensively about Mahler for worldwide mass media. Bloomberg, the Financial Times, Musical America, and many others. Ironically, I heard a performance of Mahler 5 last night by Wiener.
By the wiener.
Sorry. Wow, that was so unprofessional of me. God, Germans, you gotta fucking relax, dude.
He's Austrian.
Woo.
Or Hungarian, rather.
That came out of nowhere.
Wiener Herzog.
Ironically, I heard a performance of is it Mahler V or Mahler 5? Anybody know?
Mahler
5 last night by Wiener Symphoniker that was so utterly wrong that I wanted to walk out, but was in dead center of row of about 25 people. It was so misguided that it actually made me angry, as did this movie. This has, in half a century, gone from obscurity to one of the most overplayed pieces of classical music, especially the famous Adagietto, the fourth movement for strings only. It needs
really
to be
see what
put
that word was.
aside for a while and restudied and then not handed out to any pretty / handsome, untalented kid who looks great on an album cover or promo video. 14 out of 29 found that helpful, and I will put that adagietto in the
Adagietto.
comments.
Aviato.
Okay. It means thank you in Japanese.
You know Aviato?
I was gonna read this one, but the other potential, as I was looking through the other longer review, I'm like, you know what? These are all turning out to be pretentious. I gotta go full hog here. I can't half-ass it with, so CSO fan 62317, love you, but it's not today. It's not in the cards today. Yeah, Adagietto. Interesting. We're instead gonna go with Levy Bob's 5 out of 10 review. How can the first hour seem like a year? Director Todd Field is up to something in his new film, Tar. Though what it is, I couldn't say. One thing for sure, it's strange. Very. The first 7 minutes are dedicated to scrolling the film's credits. No, not credits for Kate Blanchett and the rest of the cast. I'm talking about Key Grip, Best Boy, Stuntman number 1. The stuff you'd normally see at a film's conclusion, if you stick around for the credits. The film's next 15 minutes feature a one-on-one interview between the film's protagonist, Ms. Tar, Blanchett, and New Yorker columnist Adam Gopnik. The two are seated on an auditorium stage, the audience silent, Miss Blanchett / Tar fiercely intense as the Philharmonic conductor describes her craft. This goes on far longer than you'd expect, and in my opinion, far longer than necessary. The next segment is a lunch or dinner at which Ms. Tar and an associate, who is he? I don't know, but I should, discuss the politics and interpersonal relationships going on in Ms. Tar's orchestra, the Berlin Philharmonic. The viewer is a fly on the wall to this gossip. We have to listen closely because much is mumbled. But never mind. The people gossiped about are people we don't know yet. And so we, as in I, tune out. Perhaps a mistake, but I could not help it. There are innuendos aplenty here. We learn that Miss Tar is a lesbian. Huh?
Innuendo.
We learn that Miss Tar is a lesbian, and the man sitting across from her might be, or might once have been, attracted to men. Here, at about the 30 to 40 minute mark, I considered leaving, but I didn't. You, however, may give in to the inclination to draw fresh air, and frankly, I would not blame you. But if you do consider leaving, let me tell you this. 1. The rest of the film moves at a faster pace. Much faster. In fact, the longer it goes, the faster the pace. 2. Miss
It's like
Blanchett.
the tagline for fucking Speed.
Miss Blanchett is in fact as fabulous as you've undoubtedly read. If you do stay for her performance, not the story. 3. The gossip you overheard at that lunch / dinner table, as the film progresses, it will begin to make sense to you. Completely? No. But somewhat. 4. Conductor Tar is a mighty presence with an Achilles heel, and that weakness has gotten her into a bit of trouble. But exactly what it is she did, I mean exactly, remains somehow vague. We never doubt her weaknesses, but would probably benefit from some more detail, such as what was her relationship to the person who got Tar into trouble? Was the person a student? A member of the symphony? Oh. And 5, the scenes of Blanchett / Tar conducting the orchestra are fine. They are not jaw-droppingly sensational, as other critics would have you believe. In short, I was disappointed. There's a period before disappointed. The way I see it, if you're reading this review, it's likely you've already decided to see it. And if that's the case, I hope this will assist you in adjusting your expectations. Adjusting as in lowering. 59 out of 100. Found that helpful.
It's always the most like innocuous starting reviews that turn into the most fucking depraved bullshit.
The faster it goes, the longer it goes, the faster the pace.
I'm pretty sure that's the tagline for Speed 2. And that, my friends, is the follow-up. That was more fun than I thought it'd be. Let's talk now about gaming news, and we begin this week with breaking news. The people have spoken. Sonic Frontiers is officially better than Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Due to user review averages, Sonic is Game of the Year now. Sorry, not sorry.
Sonic Gotti edition.
I have actually
the only ring we'll be collecting.
I've watched the Digital Foundry technical review, and in front of that, the guy who does a lot of the Digital Foundry stuff is a real big Sonic fan. Like, he gushed endlessly about Sonic Mania. And he had a lot of very positive things to say about Sonic Frontiers. So I'm waiting for that de novo to get plucked out of there. And then I'll be on it, because I'm actually pretty excited to give this a go now after all the good things I've been hearing about it. I was very nervous at the start of it, but it seems like it's going pretty well.
I feel like the general sentiment is, yeah, it's mid, but I like it, so fuck you.
See, I feel like, from what I've heard, at least from the sources I've pulled from, and I should probably switch this back to the proper view. From the sources I've heard from, it is an ambitious title that does a lot of things really well. It recycles some other things from Sonic Generations, which some people might view as a bad thing. I fucking love Sonic Generations, so I'm all for that. And it has some things where its reach kind of outstretched its grasp. But the total package is something that is very unique and pretty special in its own right. But right now, the professional critic aggregate Metacritic gives it a 78 from the pros and an 8.5 by the users, which puts it ahead of Elden Ring. Sure, Elden Ring might have, several orders of magnitude more reviews. But don't you bring your fucking context into my argument here.
But can you spin dash in Elden Ring? I don't think so.
If you collect 7 not really emerald cuts, I think they're ruby cut gems in Elden Ring, do you turn Hyperglow yellow and have an increase in power? I don't think so.
You can collect many rings in Sonic. In fact, I think you can just... Isn't it like if you just do a loop, you can just like pop rings out indefinitely?
There are several ring accumulation glitches throughout the 3D Sonic timeline.
Let me find...
I know our fans would love to have some lovely context. So if we are going on Metacritic, the Metascore for Sonic Frontier has a Metascore of 72 and a user score of 8.3. That Metascore has 73 critic reviews and 2,400 ratings. Elden Ring has a 96 with 84 critic reviews and a 7.8 user score with 10,400 ratings. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the
The
user
only
score
thing
is
I
higher for Sonic Frontiers. Is
only
technically
thing I
higher by
heard from
0.5,
there
yeah.
is 8.3 is higher than 7.8. So
Yeah, 8.3 is higher from 7.8. Yeah. Oh,
Um,
sure. Wait till I make a bot account to send 10,000 one out of 10 reviews over fucking Sonic Frontiers and see how you like it.
I'm sorry that your precious Elden Ring can't compete with our Blue Blur.
Yeah. 96
Does
is
Elden Ring have blast processing?
quite a bit
George
higher
R.
than
R.
Friday,
Martin
too.
can't blast process.
Blast processing, more like ass processing. A new Intel Arc graphics driver has boosted performance by up to 8%, which is a pretty nice improvement for a driver update. And the cards are getting better little by little. I'm telling y'all, if you are in the market for a mid-range GPU, please consider the Intel Arc A750, I think, is the mid-tier one. It's less than $300. In raster, it competes with the 3060. It might even beat it as driver optimizations come out. I think it has features that the 3060 does not have, like native AVX1, I think is the video codec. It has native encode and decode for that. And it has pretty good ray tracing performance also. So if you are someone who cares about ray tracing, there's that. The not so jolly green giant NVIDIA also released a graphics card this week, the 4080 16 gig, which is the only 4080 now that they unlaunched the Pretender. It released, and it does have a pretty impressive generational uplift over the 3080. It's about 40-ish% faster on average, which would be really cool if it didn't cost 50% more than the 3080 did. Paying more money to get more performance is not progress.
You need to break even on dollars per fast.
Now
You're losing fasts for every dollar you spend, honestly.
These GPUs sound fantastic. Can I slide those bad boys into my Nintendo Switch?
No.
Fuck.
The reason I hesitated is because I'm like, well, maybe you could get an eGPU enclosure, and with a like modded Switch, maybe you can do that. But I think you need Thunderbolt, and the Switch definitely does not have Thunderbolt.
Run my modded Switch cracked out of its mind on a fucking crazy GPU just to play.
It's just Scarlet a tower. It's just an actual tower with the two handles on the side.
Just to play Scarlet and Violet, not on 10 FPS.
Well, you see, if you
maybe you'll actually get into the buildings on that.
There is such a thing as a Switch emulator, so you could theoretically run a Switch game on a 4090. Now, the 4090, interestingly enough, to say this about a graphics card that has an MSRP of $1,600 fucking dollars, but that's actually a decent value when you compare gen over gen, because the 3090 launched at $1,500, and while that is also ridiculous, if you accept the fact that a 90 series card, since this was the first 90 series card, costs $1,500, the 4090 only being $100 more, but delivering like 40% more performance, is maybe worth the risk of your power adapter catching on fire and burning your house down. But that's up to you to decide.
You would also need to invest into a stronger desk.
Yeah, you might need a bigger desk. You're definitely going to need a bigger case. The 4090 is like a 5-slot card.
Have you seen the I don't know if it was a 4090 or a 4080, but I know I've seen the cards attached to like a micro ATX MOBO, and it's just it You don't need a case because it just stands up on the GPU. It just like is Eiffel Towered by the GPU.
They're fucking chunky cards. That's one of the things that I really appreciated about the 7900 XTX when they revealed it at the AMD press conference. I'm like, hey, that looks like it'd fit in my case. Hey, look at that. It's just two 8-pin power connectors. I have that. Actually, that's one less power connector than my 3080. There's 3 8-pins in that. In slightly sad news, Gearbox has bought the Risk of Rain IP. So the future of the franchise is in question. Gearbox,
Randy,
until very recently, if Gearbox had bought the Risk of Rain IP, I probably would have been excited. And they've been publishing Risk of Rain 2 for a good long while. So that's not like a new thing. But now they own the IP. So any future Risk of Rain products are going to be Gearbox stuff, which with the recent track record of Gearbox does not inspire a ton of confidence. But it's also probably not a big enough IP that it's in danger of being fucking beaten to death.
Yeah. It depends on how much they feel they can squeeze out of it, because you can't go. I feel like you really can't go regular releases. That's like part of the charm of Risk of Rain, is that it's kind of just all contained. The only thing I would, me personally, this is my very personal want out of new Risk of Rain stuff, would be a Risk of Rain mystery dungeon game. It's super fucking niche, but I think that would be real neat.
Well, they announced, as part of the announcement, they said that they're working very hard on bringing Survivors of the Void to console.
Okay.
But they are also working on what they described as a passion project, which there's some scuttlebutt that's going to be some sort of remaster of Risk of Rain 1, which they might rejigger to more of a dungeon crawler. Risk of Rain 1 was kind of a dungeon crawler-esque thing.
Yeah.
Within the roguelite shell. But yeah, I don't know. I do, however, have a we truncated the stories because I do have a game review.
Someone finished a game.
I did finish a game. I finished Spider-Man Remastered.
Spider-Man,
which released for the PC in August, and I will start succinctly by saying I do not throw the word masterpiece around often. It's overused. There are people that describe God of War 2018 as a masterpiece. We played that game. While I did enjoy it, I would say that it's probably not what I would consider to be a masterpiece. It's a pretty good game, but in some respects, I feel like it's not even my favorite God of War game. However, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered is truly a masterpiece. It delivers in every aspect that you want a game to deliver in. The visuals are gorgeous. They run well on a wide variety of hardware. The story, while it doesn't, take any real big risks or have any really unexpected twists and turns, if you're familiar at all with Spider-Man's characters, is a very tightly wound narrative that is very satisfying in its payoffs, and it builds very nicely. It's a well-paced game. The open world is a beautifully rendered and detailed Manhattan. If you're familiar with the city and you swing over to a spot chances are it's going to be accurately detailed in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fucking incredible. The open world events are a lot of fun. There's a lot to do. There's plenty of collectibles. It's fun to just swing around and fight crime, and my fucking god, web swinging in this game is incredibly satisfying. I could just zonk out and be hypnotized by the fluidity of the movement for hours on end. It is everything that you liked about Spider-Man 2 from Treyarch's web swinging dialed up to fucking 15. It is the most fun. I've never been Spider-Man, so I don't know what it feels like to be Spider-Man. So I'm not going to use the phrase makes you feel like Spider-Man, but it makes you feel pretty damn good. And there is fast travel in this game, but it almost feels like a sin to use the fast travel because it's so much fun to swing around and zip across the New York City skyline. It borrows a lot of elements from the Arkham series. The combat system is fairly similar. It has enough unique things to it, but it does have a basic structure where you build up your combo. Instead of building like a combo length to where you can use a special move like in the Arkham games, you have I think it's called a focus meter, that you build up through performing long combos, and that will stay with you. So you don't have to immediately use a stored finisher. You can also use your focus to heal yourself. So the combat, it borrows a lot from other games, but it has enough to it that's kind of unique to Spider-Man that it feels good. There are stealth sort of sections, that are very much like Batman Predator missions, like almost exactly like Batman Predator missions. You have a variety of gadgets that do a lot of the same things as some of the Batman gadgets. You have the inverted takedown thing. But those games are really good. They sold well for good reason. And if you can borrow from that formula to make a good game, I'm not going to knock Insomniac for doing so. There had been a few. Spider-Man has had a more successful video game history than a lot of superheroes. There have been a number of pretty good Spider-Man games prior to this game's release, but none of them. The game was changed in 2009 when Arkham Asylum came out. It really redefined what a superhero game could look like. And there were some Spider-Man games that came out after that tried to capture that kind of magic, but none of them really got there. There were some good games in there. A lot of people liked Web of Shadows. Shattered Dimensions was a fun game. These aren't games that you can like go out and play anymore because of the delisting them digitally, and them being kind of out of print. So if you want to play these games, you have to like fork over serious cash.
Love me some fucking lost media
for a hard copy disc from the Xbox 360 or PS3 if you have a functioning version of either of those systems. But Spider-Man Remastered / Spider-Man 2018 takes the lessons that the Arkham trilogy taught the world of superhero video games and takes it and brings it to a larger scope environment than we've ever seen in one of these games. And one of the things that people felt the Arkham Asylum in particular did really well is that it limited the scope and allowed it to focus on a very tight narrative with interesting and varied gameplay. Spider-Man Remastered, through some feat of black magic, was able to expand the scope of its world beyond that of even Arkham Knight and still nail it in every other aspect that you want. If you have a computer that's reasonably modern, I highly recommend picking up Spider-Man Remastered. And I believe today the follow-up Miles Morales game released on PC, and I'm excited to get my hands on that one and dig into it. So I give Spider-Man Remastered a 9.7 out of 10 and a hearty recommendation. It is currently my front runner for Game of the Year.
Very nice.
All right.
With that, let's
gotta
talk
play more
about a
games.
different superhero, although I did kind of mention Batman a few times in that review.
Did Kevin Conroy do the voice for Batman in the Arkham games?
In Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight, he did. He did not do Arkham Origins.
Right. Wait, which one in the series was that?
That was the third game released Well, it's a prequel, but it came out between Arkham City and Arkham Knight. Came out in 2013.
Okay, so did they not consider it like a mainline game?
WB Montreal developed it instead of Rocksteady, and
Okay.
I believe it was just to put something out because development of Arkham Knight was taking longer than expected.
Gotcha. Okay, I mean that makes sense. But we are not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the short movie.
Yeah, it's about an hour and 6 minutes. Now,
Batman Subzero.
So
let's hear for our guy, Mr. Freeze. We love to see him. Any form he comes in here, I love to see Mr. Freeze.
Solid, liquid, any
solid, liquid, gas.
Yes.
We love to see Mr. Freeze. Arnold Schwarzenegger phase, that was even okay. Even though he was lacking in the puns, he brought his two bears along with him, and glad he did.
Those polar bears, fucking. I need Tier Zoo to fucking do a video on if polar bears are overpowered, because they seem to be quite the game changer in this movie.
Polar bears are wild. They are stronger than a tank. They can breathe underwater. They only need like one fish a week to live. And boy, those claws seemed awfully sharp. Even though he palm heel striked Robin as a way to not, hurt him too much. He was a nice bear.
Yeah, I kind of want to I want to mention a scene with Robin and Mr. Freeze that kind of like took me aback a little bit watching this movie. But I don't want to jump ahead too far into spoilers. This is an older thing. So this came out in 1998. So the animation is a higher budget, and they had access to more like 3D than they did when they did.
They definitely were flexing that.
Mask of the Phantasm. And so what's interesting about this is that this is definitely a Batman the Animated Series movie. But it released well into the new Batman Adventures era. But the art style was definitely Batman the Animated Series. The sky was not like the super red sky. The bat suit design was Batman the Animated Series design. All the character designs were Batman the Animated Series, just with much nicer animation than that series typically offered. And it's a snazzy looking movie. It's a simple plot. Mr. Freeze is just chilling in the Arctic.
I will say I really enjoyed this plot in terms of like it felt like a very classic kind of adventure.
Yeah.
A lot of what I liked about it was the fact that I always clamor for any time Batman does some big old detective work and has to figure stuff out, and it was both a pretty intricate kind of mystery, but one that everyone could really follow along with.
Yeah, I will praise this movie, even though the Batman, put forth the notion that it spent a lot of time and energy really focusing on Batman the detective. This movie, in an hour and 6 minutes, I felt showcased Batman doing far greater detective work and actually, solving the mystery.
I also like that. I mean, in that regard, I like that the detective work wasn't a lot of times when Batman does detective stuff. It's I have this sample, we'll run it through the sample analyzer. I found it.
But they did
Yeah.
like investigation. They looked up the link between Barbara, like what they would be after Barbara's for. Like he subtly interrogates a nurse about or I'm sorry, Bullock offers the information about the doctor calling from the hospital, and he's like, why would they? Why? What's the connection here? And so he looks up Barbara's information, and he sees the same thing that the villain saw earlier in the movie, and he's like, they share a blood type with Nora Freeze. Okay, I gotcha. And then they follow up that lead by finding the doctor, and then they find out that he's made a lot of calls to his stockbroker, and then they interrogate his stockbroker, and he gives them information to the next lead, and it's a detective story. And
they literally find the motive and the opportunity and the method, and it's like it's great. The plot itself, like the crime itself, is like I alluded to before. It's disappointingly plausible in our world of 2022.
Yeah.
Aside from the fantastical idea of Mr. Freeze and all this shit. Man with dying wife kidnaps a doctor and forces him to do janky bootleg surgery on a discarded oil rig. Yeah, that's a fucking 2022 story right there, kids.
Yeah, that was a little shoehorned together. It was kind of interesting. The and it just kind of did snowball. I mean, pun intended.
Yeah.
Towards the end there, but it's it added tension and
I think
they
I think it's
I think
pretty tightly wound plot. Actually, I think the movie does a great job of like introducing the players in a logical progression.
sure, yeah, but I mean, it's just kind of the end scene was just kind of set up for this last set piece. I don't think it needed necessarily to be on a oil rig or what have you. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just simple like semantics that I'm picking at. But
I will posit
yes,
that it also didn't need to not be on an oil rig.
No, it didn't. No, and that's kind of the thing I love about these like older Batman movies where they kind of do mix a little bit of like reality detective work and like it's grounded in a certain sense while introducing kind of the um Gotham eccentricities with just a random oil rig within close reach.
5 miles off the
Yeah,
coast.
Which
and
is like that's like in international
there.
waters, right?
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's
It's
a pretty
there.
that's a pretty
And that's
good
plausible. Like,
distance.
oh, you're gonna do your crimes. You do them off the coast where where the cops don't have jurisdiction.
And that's fine. That's fine. It's definitely something like it's a different scene of like Gotham that we haven't seen before. And how many times are we shelled up in some sewer hole or some random science building or underground that Batman has to resolve the issues
So
of
a critique I had of this film as a kid, or a disappointment, I guess, was that
as a kid.
So the trailers for this movie showed a lot of scenes like in the Arctic and not a lot in Gotham, and the poster shows Batman, above his silhouette above Mr. Freeze, and they're in the ice cave. I felt a bit of disappointment then, and I still kind of maintain now that a better setting for the climax would have been in the Arctic. I think he could have done a bit more with that. It makes sense from a story perspective to be closer than that, but at the same time, I feel like there could have been a lot of cooler visual set pieces there.
They did a good amount of like jumping around that I feel like could have been utilized in a more narrative sense, and
Mhm.
it could have had some not necessarily Chekhov's gun, but like callbacks to certain things. We're not sure how we got to the Arctic, nor do we really care. But when you have this submarine just pop up out of nowhere and
Yeah, the whole impetus for
spoil.
the plot is like a pure accident. Like,
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and it's like, okay, you just stumbled upon this villain who's caring for this little Inuit boy, and his two bears and his dying wife, and maybe he could have taken that submarine, and I think it would have been neat to just like see that parked in the harbor of Gotham,
Yeah.
just like just out of nowhere, and like maybe have more of like a build up to the Mr. Freeze reveal where there's this confusion about it, but that's all just conjecture and
Mhm.
not necessarily a critique of the movie, but there was some jumping around that I had to like kind of fill in the blanks.
This
But I
could
mean,
have.
I also think this might have been constrained to like an hour movie time,
it's
Yeah.
a
and
TV
if that's the
movie, if I
case,
recall
No,
correctly.
it's
that's
direct to
fine.
video, actually. So
Oh,
this
really?
was I'm reading up on this a little bit. This was a direct to video movie that was originally supposed to be a tie-in to the Batman and Robin movie.
Yes, but
Hmm.
that
And then they delayed it because
because it was so
Batman and
bad.
Robin
Yeah,
sucked balls.
I do remember that bit of it.
Rough.
I guess I just saw it on TV the first time I saw it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it would have made it's a little long for a two-parter because two-parters usually run about 40 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to air it on TV, there's probably an even shortened version that you could probably cut to
Well,
TV length.
it's not
Yeah.
unheard of. The Cartoon Network used to do it fairly frequently. They'd run Mask of the Phantasm and the Superman movie that came out in 2006, the animated one, Brainiac Attacks or something like that. That aired on television. Yeah. So a common criticism of movies based on shows like this is that they just feel like longer episodes. But for Batman the Animated Series, where the whole ethos was we make movies, our episodes are self-contained little mini movies.
Yeah.
It kind of works in reverse almost. Like this is just an appropriate length episode.
Yeah, no.
I think I agree with Jake that this could have benefited even from a little more development.
Oh, I would have loved another 25 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah,
think-
it would have been I think helpful to the movie, but I don't think that necessarily detracts from the whole of the movie. I think there's a little bit of like I think some I give some relief to the movie for maybe the constraints that were put on it like ahead of time. An hour and 6 minutes seems like a really weird constraint. If that's what they were limited to, then so be it.
I would say they were
Because
probably more limited by the budget because there's a lot of
Yeah.
really slick animation in this,
this
especially
was
for the time.
I saw a good amount of like
Mhm.
3D style animation, and
Right.
it did seem like they were trying to like convey like this is what we can do
I think they just kind
given
of
like a
ran
bigger
out of
budget.
money to
Yeah.
make the
Yeah.
movie longer.
Yeah.
Honestly, this goes with my theory that Warner's is always like this is my head. I think it's more headcanon than theory, honestly. But my headcanon that Warner's is like this super practical studio that uses every project as like development for their next project. This coming out in 1998 makes me think that they use this as like one of the pilots for the CG. Like we're gonna
Sure.
put just a buttload of CG in this, and when it works, we're gonna take what works and we're gonna adapt it into new Batman Adventures, Justice League Unlimited, what
Yeah.
have you. Because they did use right? Am I wrong
The
that they
intro
use CG?
to Justice League was CG and 3D.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
feel like they use it for some of the vehicles. Maybe I'm just imagining things.
it's possible. I'd have to go back and watch, and I will take any excuse to go back and watch Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. But I mean, I'm sure they used it a little bit, but I think a lot of it was hand drawn and very beautifully so. The one scene I was referring to earlier is when Mr. Freeze shows up to kidnap Barbara Gordon, which there were 18 matches on that list. Yet they choose the police commissioner's daughter to go after.
They just go for it. It's like that's a bold move, my friend.
Well, they looked it up by blood type, right? They just conducted by blood type, and they needed a female of maybe they just
even after they narrowed the search criteria, it said 18 results found.
They had to do I like that they did a simplified version of an organ donor match because, obviously organ donor matching is super fucking complicated. But at least they did for a general audience, they'd be like, all right, someone who's about the same height.
We
weight,
must remember that
gender,
this is a movie for kids at the end of the day.
So they had to kind of
simplify things.
So they used those criteria. But anyways, that was a bold move on the villain's part to pick the fucking daughter of the police commissioner. Obviously nothing comes of this, but I had the thought in the back of my head after this, like, man, that's a lot of high profile action for this civilian. I hope no one looks into her and investigate.
Well, I feel like people would have been more like, who's this Dick Grayson kid? Like he fucking is jumping a motorcycle across a crashed police car. But the scene where Mr. Freeze shows up to kidnap Barbara Gordon, of course,
the jazz club where they're playing the rip-off of Sing Sing Sing.
Yeah. Of course, Dick Grayson's gonna do his superhero thing and try to apprehend the villain, and he succeeds largely. Like, were it not for the polar bears, there's a scene where Dick takes Mr. Freeze down, and he has myrrh in his fucking eyes. He's about to murk this dude before the polar bear comes in, and just the expression they animated on his face, I was like, whoa, take it easy.
It's a lot. Dick Grayson has some gems in this, where fucking they go to the scene of the abduction, the doctor's abduction, where Mr. Freeze froze the car to flip it, and then it melted over time. And they're looking at
happenstance into that, right? Like Alfred just drives into
Alfred and Batman, but they go back to the scene, I think. Maybe it's an Alfred line, but I don't know. Either way, someone looks at it and they're investigating. They pick it up. They pick up a handful of the water, and Batman goes water, and then whoever's with him, I swear it's Dick Grayson. He looks over, he's like, as if he's connecting the dots. He's like, melted ice, and I'm like, good job, Dick.
That's such like an
big galaxy brain Dick over here.
That's such like an OG Adam West line.
Oh my god, there's if you are ever in the mood for some great conclusion jumping from very little evidence, watch the Batman movie from 1960 whenever.
Someone's that compares to the Black Dynamite scene in terms of train of thought.
The clue had something to do with Russian from the Riddler, and Burt Ward as Robin's if someone is Russian, they might slip on a banana peel and crack their neck or something, and that was the lead into the next part of the
world's greatest detective. I don't know what else to tell you. Kevin Conroy does put in a great performance in this.
Kevin Conroy innovated the use of two different voices for Batman and Bruce Wayne. And it's kind of neat in here because you see there are a couple instances where he's out as Bruce Wayne, but when he's doing his, investigating, he's using the Batman voice, which I think is pretty neat. And just in general, so this is a short movie. Freeze kidnaps Barbara. Barbara is obviously very capable, so he makes things rough on on them for their plot and their scheme. Batman and Robin do detective work. They show up on the oil rig. They thwart the plan.
Have a very exciting action sequence, and I will note, that's another nice little thing about this. Obviously, Batman goes back to save both of them, both
Yes.
Freeze and Nora, because he wants to bring them to justice, not have to kill them.
That was the awesome, but that was like what this is like. This is a Batman movie. This is like the classic Batman that makes
And
every
this
Batman
was
movie
a
great.
So Batman the Animated Series really revitalized Mr. Freeze as a character. Like,
right, Heart of Ice,
before
iconic.
that episode, Mr. Freeze was basically the Arnold Schwarzenegger version of Mr. Freeze. They incorporated the Nora stuff into his character for the movie, but he was basically just a walking gimmick. But they gave him a very sympathetic and tragic origin. And this movie does I feel, very wonderful job of wrapping that storyline up. Because Mr. Freeze, he survives. His polar bears take him back to the Arctic. And he hears the news that Nora's been cured. And that's all he's ever wanted. And he's happy. And he walks off into the sunset with his.
I really hope it's not the Arctic. I think it's just. I hope
So-
it's just like a northern area of the U.S.
Gotham.
because
It's still in Gotham.
it's just. I hope it's just snowy because it's like, okay, I don't know if I can buy you swimming all the way up to the Arctic, but
I
yeah,
love
that
his
was
little ice cast.
yeah,
Um,
ice cast, like,
I
all
will-
the details. That's really great.
Yeah. So what I will note about the ending, this is different from the original write up of the movie. So they didn't realize until after the after Batman and Robin dropped that they had it so that Nora was saved. Because originally, I guess they were throwing around the idea of adapting White Christmas, and I guess that would have needed Nora to die or have been dead.
Right. Well, I'm glad they went the way that they did, because I feel that was great closure for the Mr. Freeze character
Mhm.
arc. And I was just reflecting on some of the more iconic Kevin Conroy moments throughout the DC animated universe, and some of the ones I really enjoy. There's a particular episode where I don't remember the villain, but they implant like some device in Bruce's head. I'm sorry, no, that's the Batman Beyond line actually.
Right.
Where they keep calling him Bruce. Is like, how'd you know that it was the guy? That's not what I call myself. He called himself Batman. And of course, if you want to go out to Justice League, there are some really good Kevin Conroy performances in there. Epilogue, that's a sad one, but it's really good. There's also the one, I forget the name of the episode, but it's where Circe turns Wonder Woman into a pig, and
Yes.
Batman and I want to say Green Arrow have to go and sort that out.
Sounds right.
And there's the scene where he sings the blues at the end, and it's very nice little scene. There are too many great Batman the Animated Series episodes,
And that's what makes it so special.
to list out.
Is that he was just so much of him was in that character.
Yeah, it really, when Peter broke the news in our group text, like,
I did in the middle of the day because I didn't like it was either I told you guys or you would have just seen it.
it fucking hurt. Like, there have been a lot of celebrity deaths in our time doing the show, and some have hit pretty hard. Like Jerry Stiller a couple years ago, that was a rough one. But this one, it honestly felt like someone told me that Batman himself died, and it fucking sucks, man. This is a big part of my childhood and my early adulthood and my later adulthood. Just got, like, through the years, from Batman the Animated Series up through Arkham Knight, man, like that's the voice of Batman, and
Yep.
nothing, no one's ever gonna be able to replicate it.
If there's one silver lining to all of this, and in the context of we talk about a lot of media personalities on this show, I will stay fucking, that's the thing I'm going to be thankful for this Thanksgiving, is that although he left us, his legacy is just remained all the way intact.
Yeah.
Like no fucking blemishes, right?
He's
There's a lot of celebrities who die and you're like, oh man, they did some good stuff, but also like, man, they were a bummer.
from everything I know, like right now, no one really speaks ill of the dead, so you're not going to hear anything bad about him. But even when he was alive, like anytime you look up Kevin Conroy, what anyone had to say about him, all the work he did for charity,
Mm-hmm.
all
And
genuinely,
the work he did for the fans,
yeah,
even all the way up to the
bitter
close to
end,
the end there.
like genuinely awesome dude, and uh,
He's
the
got a
comic
legacy that
book,
anyone would be proud of.
yeah, the comic book community lost a beloved voice actor, but the world lost a great human being, and it sucks. 66 is too young. Cancer sucks. But he left behind a wonderful body of work that generations beyond us will be able to enjoy, and I think that's a legacy that he's almost certainly proud of.
Truly, I think some of the best Batman works can come from his voice acting.
I would agree. He's Batman, and he will be missed.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I would like to think that he picked and chose his projects which he wanted to work on, and
I would assume so.
If he wanted to work on some of those, that he picked the ones that he felt were doing the most justice to the character,
and he, like Mark Hamill famously has retired from being the Joker like 2 or 3 times, and every time Kevin Conroy was able to talk him back into one last run. So he cares deeply about making sure the best product gets put forward, and he is just an awesome guy.
well, I think some of the most iconic roles have been done by him. Some of the most iconic Batmans have been done by him.
I mean,
so it's awesome to see that.
lines that will stay with you for a long time. That's going to be a wrap on episode 241. We'll be back next week with Wakanda Forever, which is another movie in the shadow of the death of a beloved actor. So that's we're keeping the pain train rolling in that regard. But we'll persevere, and we hope to see you all next week. And until that time, be well, stay safe, and party like it's 1995.
Peace.
Bye-bye.